In the unforgiving world of boxing, where reputations are built and broken in mere seconds, there exists a fighter who has carved out not only a legacy, but also a fearsome identity. That man is Naoya Inoue, a name that no longer needs an introduction, and a fighter whose nickname, the Monster, speaks volumes about the devastation he brings to the ring. Inoue's story is more than the usual rags-to-riches tale or a generic ascent through the ranks. His path is one of technical excellence, unshakable mental strength, and an almost preternatural ability to improve with every challenge that crosses his path. Each opponent he faces adds a new chapter to a career built on dismantling not just fighters, but the very assumptions the world holds about weight, power, and skill. The most recent reminder of his supremacy came on January 24, 2025, when Inoue stepped into the ring against Kim Ye-jun, a challenger who arrived with quiet confidence and the physical tools to trouble lesser men. The venue buzzed with the same cautious excitement that always seems to accompany an Inoue fight, as fans wondered whether this would be the night the Monster would finally meet his match. But by the time the fourth round came to an abrupt and thunderous end, the question had shifted from, can he be beaten, to, who will ever be able to stop him? Inoue didn't merely win that night. He retained his undisputed status at Super Bantamweight, holding the WBA, Super, WBC, IBF, WBO, and the ring titles, while once again reinforcing the gap between his mastery and the best the division could offer. Long before he became a global name, Inoue's journey began in the traditional confines of Japanese boxing culture. His style was rooted in fundamentals, but elevated through obsessive refinement. From the beginning, he exhibited an understanding of distance, timing, and punch placement well beyond his years. But it wasn't just talent that brought him success. It was a relentless commitment to growth. Inoue's career is defined by a steady sharpening of his weapons, the jab that isn't just a rangefinder but a sledgehammer in disguise, the footwork that isn't merely reactive but predictive, and the composure under fire that turns adversity into opportunity. Throughout his rise through the lighter weight classes, Inoue silenced every doubter with performances that seemed more like rehearsed perfection than the chaos typical of most high-level boxing bouts. Opponents would enter the ring armed with plans and promises, only to leave it humbled by the unrelenting and often brutal precision of a man who refuses to make the same mistake twice. Perhaps no fight highlights the essence of Inoue's spirit, quite like his clash with Mexican power puncher Luis Nery. When the two fighters met on May 6, 2024, at the iconic Tokyo Dome, it wasn't just a title defense on the line. It was personal. Nery had long been a polarizing figure in Japan, a result of past controversies including a failed drug test and a weight miss that cost him the respect of Japanese boxing purists. For Inoue, who carries the weight of Japan's boxing pride on his shoulders, the matchup wasn't merely about championship belts. It was about retribution. The night began with high drama. In a stunning moment, Nery delivered the unthinkable, a knockdown in the first round. It was the first time in Inoue's career that he had tasted the canvas. The Tokyo Dome fell silent as the thousands in attendance processed the sight of their hero on the deck. But as the seconds ticked by, what followed was not panic but poise. Inoue rose, cleared his head, and systematically began to reassert control over the fight. The same opponent who had floored him was now navigating a gauntlet of traps, counters, and body assaults that only grew more punishing with each passing round. By the sixth, the climax arrived. A perfectly timed combination sent Nery crumbling to the canvas, his body finally succumbing to the punishment his mind had been desperately willing him to endure. The crowd erupted, but for Inoue, it was simply the inevitable conclusion of a puzzle solved. He had defended his titles not just with skill, but with the kind of mental fortitude that defines truly great fighters. While Nery's defeat cemented Inoue's resilience, his pair of fights against Nonito Donaire offered an even more complete portrait of his evolution as a boxer. When they first met in November 2019, Donaire was the seasoned veteran, a former champion whose experience and punching power were unmatched at bantamweight. Many predicted that the younger, faster Inoue would overwhelm Donaire, but the fight quickly defied expectations. That night, Inoue faced something few fighters can prepare for: real adversity. A Donaire punch shattered his orbital bone, leaving him fighting with impaired vision for the remainder of the bout. But despite the injury, Inoue continued to press forward, using strategy and heart in equal measure to survive the onslaught and dish out punishment of his own. When the final bell rang, the judges awarded him a unanimous decision, but the true victory was in the experience gained. The battle left a mark on Inoue, not just physically, but mentally. It exposed his vulnerabilities, yet also revealed the depth of his resolve. Their rematch, nearly 3 years later in June 2022, was a masterclass in adaptation. The younger Inoue, who had fought with heart in 2019, had returned as a more complete fighter, one who blended that same heart with tactical sharpness and ruthlessness. This time, Donaire would not see the final bell. Inoue dismantled the veteran with surgical precision, ending the bout in the second round and adding the WBC title to his growing collection. For all his reputation as a knockout artist, Inoue's real strength lies not in raw power but in the perfect execution of fundamentals. His knockouts are not the result of wild exchanges or brute strength, but the culmination of timing, accuracy, and balance. Every punch he throws is designed to achieve maximum effect with minimum effort. Inoue's footwork deserves just as much praise as his fists. He glides around the ring with economy and grace, always in position to attack or evade, rarely wasting a step. This positional mastery allows him to create angles that leave opponents exposed, and his hand speed ensures that the opening is punished before his adversary can react. It is this combination of mental and physical sharpness that sets Inoue apart. While others rely on toughness, volume, or size, Inoue has built his dominance on the subtle elements of the sport, making the complex look simple. By the time Inoue secured his undisputed status at super bantamweight, the boxing world had already begun speculating about his future. Could he move up once again? Could the monster who had reigned supreme at light flyweight, junior bantamweight, and super bantamweight continue his reign in the featherweight or even super featherweight divisions? His rise through the weight classes is itself a feat worthy of admiration. Smaller fighters often find themselves trapped by the limits of their frames, but Inoue has not only carried his power upwards, he has enhanced his skills to meet the physical challenges of each new division. In each new weight class, the story has repeated itself. Skeptics question whether his power and precision will hold, and each time, Inoue answers definitively. His journey isn't merely one of personal glory. For Japan, Inoue represents a national treasure, a figure who bridges traditional respect for the sport with a modern understanding of global fame. In an age when boxing is as much about marketing and spectacle as it is about combat, Inoue remains a craftsman, someone who lets his fists, rather than his words, tell the story. Inoue's ability to inspire fear in opponents even before the opening bell rings is as much a part of his weaponry as his fists. There is a psychological warfare at play when fighters sign the contract to face him. Every sparring session, every roadwork mile, and every minute of shadowboxing is done under the looming awareness that they will need to be perfect against a man who punishes even the smallest mistakes. And yet, beyond the fear he inspires, Inoue also commands profound respect, not only for his technical mastery but for his discipline and humility outside the ring. The contrast between his soft-spoken nature and his violent craft paints a portrait of a fighter who understands the gravity of his gift. For those who step into the ring against him, underestimating the monster has proven to be the costliest mistake. Many arrive believing they have the strength, the power, or the strategy to dethrone him, only to leave with their dreams shattered and their careers altered. Naoya Inoue stands today as more than just an undisputed world champion. He is the embodiment of what the sweet science can produce when talent meets tireless work ethic. In a world of shortcuts, promotional squabbles, and padded records, Inoue has charted a path defined by facing the best, overcoming adversity, and doing so with an artistry that is rarely seen at any weight. His career is far from over, and as each new opponent steps forward, fans and pundits alike will ask the same questions. Can anyone expose a weakness? Can anyone survive his power? Can anyone stand at the end of 12 rounds against the monster? If history is any indication, The answers to those questions will continue to disappoint his challengers. Because in the world of boxing, respect is not given. It is earned through blood, sweat, and resilience. And few have earned it more emphatically than Naoya Inoue. As he continues to hunt for new challenges and raise the bar for excellence, one truth remains unshaken. Mocking the monster is a gamble few survive.